From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday bared plans to establish permanent soil laboratories in every region as part of the government's efforts to help farmers increase their productivity and improve agricultural yield. Speaking during a dialogue with the 50th Gawad Saka awardees at the Science City of Muñoz in Nueva Ecija province, the president underscored the importance of understanding soil conditions to guide government interventions and farm support. The chief executive said these mobile laboratories are only the first phase of a broader plan to permanently equip regions with soil analysis facilities.
Para naman pagandahin pa ang inyong maging production, kakatapos na nagdala kami rito, nakita nyo siguro yung 16 na soil laboratory na mobile soil laboratory. Ito ang inuna namin itong mobile soil laboratory at ito yung pinakamabilis na magkaroon tayo ng soil laboratory. Ito ay bawat region, magbibigay na tayo, bawat region, magtatagal siya sa isang lugar, tapos iikot para mapag-aralan kung ano na ba ang pangangailangan, ano ba ang tamang pagbigay ng ayuda, ng pesticide, lahat. At pati na kung ano na ang lagay, ano na ang sitwasyon doon sa lupa na tinataniman ninyo. Para mag-maximize tayo doon dumami ang ating production. Pero pagkatapos nitong mobile soil laboratory ay maggagawa na tayo ng permanent. Meron na tayo na simulan pero sa yung Australian na sa Surigao. Meron tayo na simulan. Gusto namin maglagay ng permanent na soil laboratory sa bawat region. Ito ay unang phase 1 pa lang, phase 1 pa lang ito. Pagpatuloy natin patuloy lang ang aming ginagawa para lahat ng tulong na maibigay natin sa ating mga mangingisda, sa ating mga farmer ay gagawin natin. Darating din tayo sa araw na hindi na tayo masyadong umaasa sa importation. Yun ang ating habol, yun ang magiging sign of success natin kapag talagang nabawasan na natin ng husto ang ating pagbili ng imported rice.
President Marcos also expressed gratitude and admiration for the Gawad Saka awardees, describing their work as vital to national development and food security. A total of 43 individuals and institutions from across the country were honored this year under the Gawad Saka program, the Department of Agriculture's highest recognition for excellence and innovation in the farming and fisheries sector.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Monday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. pushed for the full use of modern and high-tech agricultural technologies in the country, saying it is the best way to attract more young Filipinos into farming and reverse the aging trend of the sector. Speaking at a dialogue with this year's 43 Gawad Saka awardees at the Science City of Muñoz in Nueva Ecija province, the president said the government is determined to transform the farming profession into a viable and productive career for the younger generation. President Marcos said the youth are often drawn to white-collar office jobs with air conditioning and better comfort, adding that the only way to reverse this is to make farming more interesting to the youth. Utilizing technology in agriculture can increase productivity and create results that can inspire young Filipinos to see farming as a viable livelihood. The chief executive noted that decades of neglect have left the agriculture sector behind, but assured farmers that under his administration, this will change all of that.
Ang average age ng ating mga magsasaka at saka mangingisda masyado ng mataas. Dahil nga, mahirap nga ang buhay ng magsasaka. Kaya siguro yung mga nakapag-aral na, yung mga anak natin, nakapag-aral na, gusto nila nasa air condition silang opisina at medyo maginhawa. Dahil talaga ang hirap ng buhay. Nakikita namin yan sa probinsya, ang hirap ng buhay ng magsasaka. Ngunit, ang tanging sa akin palagay, at kami ni Secretary Kiko ay pinag-usapan namin ng matagal ito, paano natin pababain yung average age ng ating mga magsasaka? Kailangan natin pumasok sa mga bagong teknolohiya. Dahil yun, kailangan talaga natin para maging yung bawat hektarya natin, mas malaki ang yield, mas malaki ang ani, paano natin gagawin yun? Ang nakakaunawa at mga talagang practitioner, ng high-tech agriculture, intensive and extensive na type of agriculture, ay ang mga kabataan silang magtuturo sa atin ng mga bagong teknolohiya. At yan, palagay ko, ay magiging interesting na yan, magiging interesante na yan para sa ating mga kabataan, para nakikita nila na hindi lamang may magandang hanap buhay naman ang magsasaka. Kahit na may kahirapan talaga ng konti, siyempre, kailangan masipag at lahat. Masipag naman ang Pilipino kahit naman yung mga bata, masipag naman talaga. Basta't may nakikita silang resulta. Kaya't sa aking palagay, yun ang ating pwedeng gawin. At para sa mga mas nakakabata ay sasabihin nila, interesante ito. At palagay ko yung sakripisyo na kailangan para pagandahin ang ating ani ay palagay ko naman yung mga Pinoy na magiging magsasaka ay sasabihin na worth it ito kahit na may sakripisyo, worth it ito. At yun ang aming para kasi medyo hindi natulungan ng agrikultura ng matagal wala tayong agricultural policy masyado ng napakatagal. Kaya sasabihin ng mga bata, ba't tayo papasok diyan? Wala nang pupuntahan yan, hanggang diyan na lang yan. Kaya ngayon, babaguhin natin lahat yan. Ngayon may pag-asa na makikita nila mayroong pagpaganda ng kanilang hanap buhay bilang magsasaka at sila ay babalik sa pagsasaka.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Still on Monday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has assured farmers that the National Food Authority or NFA will not reduce the buying price of palay even as the government continues its 20 pesos per kilogram rice program. Addressing concerns during a dialogue with this year's Gawad Saka awardees in Nueva Ecija province, the president said farmers' income remains a top priority of his administration. The chief executive said the current price range of palay from 19 pesos to 23 pesos per kilogram for dry palay and 18 pesos per kilogram for wet palay will be maintained.
Nag-aalala yung ating mga magsasaka dahil binababa natin ang presyo ng bigas sa 20 piso kada kilo. Paano ngayon ang mga farmer? Kahit anong presyo ang pagbenta natin ng bigas sa palengke, hindi magbabago ang buying price ng palay ng NFA. Hindi namin ibababa hindi namin ibababa ang buying price. Ano ngayon 19 to 23? 23. Oo. Sa dry. Oo. So sa basa 18. ang pagbili. Hindi na yan bababa dyan. At kung kakayanin pa natin, titignan natin kung ano pa. Pero hindi lang naman ang suporta na ibibigay natin, hindi lamang dun sa palay buying, kung hindi sa iba't ibang inputs kagaya ng nabanggit ninyo. Kaya't ang DA, ang ginagawa, imbis na kayo ang bibili, na maghahanap kayo ng urea, maghahanap kayo ng lahat ng pesticide, ang DA na ang bibili para makarami. Pagka nakarami, makamura tayo.
A fulfillment of the president's campaign promise, 20 peso per kilogram of rice program is available for the vulnerable sector, including low-income families, senior citizens, solo parents, and persons with disabilities. In addition to palay procurement, President Marcos said the government will expand support to cover major farming inputs. The chief executive said the Department of Agriculture, or DA, will shoulder bulk procurement of essential supplies such as fertilizers and pesticides to help bring down production costs. President Marcos also cited the ongoing rollout of mobile soil laboratories that will help farmers apply the right type and amount of fertilizer, further reducing costs and improving yields. The Philippine president added the NFA is resuming its core mandate of buying rice and corn from local producers at fair prices. President Marcos Jr. said the government will ensure that the purchasing price and farming inputs are sufficient so that farmers can feed their families and send their children to school.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. emphasized on Tuesday the Philippine Air Force, or PAF's, critical role in national security, disaster response, and law enforcement, promising continued government support to equip and modernize the service in the face of evolving regional threats and internal challenges. President Marcos spoke at the PAF's 78th founding anniversary celebration at the Villamor Air Base in Pasay City, praising the Air Force for its dedication to its mission and its ability to defend Philippine skies and assist civilian populations. The president listed major operational successes from the past year, such as increased air and sea monitoring amid escalating tensions in the West Philippine Sea. President Marcos noted that the PAF also helped with internal security activities. The chief executive stated that the Air Force's silent labor is underpinned by a culture of professionalism and sacrifice that persists despite public recognition. President Marcos underlined his administration's commitment to long-term modernization measures to help the Air Force meet increasing needs. The president stated that improved capabilities have begun to manifest with the delivery of 6 new aircraft, the expansion of flight simulation and advanced training programs, and the completion of infrastructure projects to ensure air assets are secured and strategically deployed. Despite operational issues, President Marcos praised the PAF's quick response to rather natural calamities, both domestic and international. The Philippine president reassured the troops about his dedication to their well-being and mission readiness.
The hard work continues even when nobody is looking. As threats evolve and disasters strike, the Air Force delivers, adapts, and does its job and performs its mission. So I say this with great pride. The Philippine Air Force is a force on its own right. It is a credible, agile, essential to our country's aerospace defense. The government will exert all efforts to provide the Philippine Air Force with the best possible equipment, training, and facilities. We remain relentless in ensuring that support will continue, because we know that when our troops are equipped and are attended to properly, they are empowered to fulfill their duties and serve the country with excellence. You are all well trained, highly capable, and most importantly, more than willing to protect the citizens of the Republic and the Republic itself. Hundreds of unidentified tracks have been monitored in our air defense zone, and thousands of vessels near our waters have been kept under close watch by the Air Force. Insurgents have been tracked, threats neutralized, law enforcement operations supported, from capturing criminals and stopping smuggling operations that hamper the economy. Time and again, you put your life on the line for the sake of our people. Habang umaasa ang taong bayan sa inyo, kayo naman ay may maaasahan sa administrasyong ito. Bilang inyong Commander-in-Chief, titiyakin kong buo at tapat ang suporta at malasakit ko sa inyong lahat na Philippine Air Force.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Tuesday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. directed the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, to address bureaucratic bottlenecks to ensure the successful implementation of Republic Act, or RA 12214, or the Capital Markets Efficiency Promotion Act, or CIMEPA. The President expressed confidence that the special bell ringing to mark the effectivity of the CIMEPA will pave the way for a new era of economic dynamism, investor confidence, and sustainable growth. President Marcos also ordered all concerned agencies to ensure that every Filipino would feel the full benefits of CIMEPA without delay. The chief executive also called on all market participants and stakeholders to uphold transparency, fairness, and good governance, reminding them that market integrity is a shared responsibility. President Marcos made the call as he noted that from now until 2030, CIMEPA is projected to generate over 25 billion pesos in net revenue, a substantial sum that can help fund the building of roads, bridges, hospitals, schools, other social safety net programs as well. The President said the law would also reinforce confidence as it indicates that the country's financial system is becoming more equitable and structured for long-term stability. CIMEPA, President Marcos said, would benefit not just the wealthy, the professionals, and the stock traders, but every Filipino who dreams of better financial security.
So let's be clear. The reform is not just for for the well-off and for the professionals, for the stock traders. It is for every Filipino who dreams of better financial security. It empowers the small business owner, the young professional, the overseas Filipino worker to start investing their hard-earned money to build a better future. Para sa bawat Pilipino, ito po ang layunin ng pamahalaan. Alisin ang mga balakid at palawakin ang mga oportunidad para sa ating pag-uunlad. Indeed, this act allows Filipinos to be true participants in our nation's economic growth. This law enhances our competitiveness in the ASEAN region and strengthens the foundation of a capital market that can thrive on the global stage. To ensure the successful implementation of this reform, I direct the Securities and Exchange Commission to streamline its procedures, remove bureaucratic bottlenecks, reduce transaction costs within its control. Undertake the necessary changes to fulfill your responsibilities in these changing times. By working together in good faith, we can build an industry that earns the market's trust both here and abroad, that every ring from this morning and every day, trading day thereafter, echo our strength, our optimism, our shared hope for a more prosperous future for all Filipinos.
That was Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday said Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is not opposed to the implementation of the K-12 program but wants to improve the curriculum. Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said, President Marcos, however, acknowledged the lack of preparedness in implementing the education program. In his podcast aired last month, President Marcos expressed frustrations over the K-12 program and directed Education Secretary Sani Angara to strengthen the curriculum and address long-standing gaps in education infrastructure. Castro said the current administration would exhaust all efforts to strengthen the K-12 program.
Okay, gusto po natin liwanagin ito. Hindi po niya sinasabi na hindi natutol siya sa K-12. Ang sinabi lang po niya ay hindi naging epektibo agad dahil hindi na i-prepare ang mga ahensya para dito. At ngayon po, sa pamamagitan din po ni Secretary Angara, ini-improve po ito. Pero ayon po sa ating Pangulo, hanggat nandyan po ang batas para sa K-12, ito po ay susuportahan at palalawigin at pag-iibayuhin na maayos para sa ating mga estudyante. So, hindi lang po siya tutol talaga sa K-12. Aayusin po ngayon. Pero kung ano po ang magiging batas, yun din po ang susundin. Pero sa ngayon na nandiyan po ang batas, ito po ay bibigyan po ng halaga at palalawigin at pagagandahin pa po.
Senate President Pro Tempore Jinggoy Estrada earlier filed the bill seeking the removal of the senior high school or SHS level in the K-12 program, citing the criticism and objections from various groups. Angara said there are ongoing efforts to improve the SHS program with over 800 schools nationwide participating in the pilot run of the enhanced curriculum for grades 11 and 12 starting school year 2025 to 2026.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday had a very good conversation with Prime Minister Mark Carney of Canada. This was shared by the President in a social media post where they discussed several aspects in cooperation between the Philippines and Canada. President Marcos said among the topics they discussed was strengthening and deepening cooperation in the fields of trade and defense. The two leaders also tackled maintaining peace in the region. The chief executive also thanked the Canadian leader for its swift assistance to the Filipino community in Vancouver when a man drove into a large crowd of people attending the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival, leaving 11 people dead and over 32 people injured. President Marcos is hopeful that relations between the two countries would further broaden for the benefit of its citizens.
Dateline Malacañang.
Also on Thursday, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. emphasized the importance of global interdependence to ensure countries' stability and development amid geopolitical challenges. During his meeting with the Philippines-Japan Economic Cooperation Committee or PhilJEC and the 14th Asian Business Summit or ABS delegates at Malacañang Palace in Manila, the President said the nation's mutual reliance is currently being challenged because of the recent global developments. President Marcos said the Philippines has already learned its lesson when the world was grappling with the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. The chief executive said he is very happy to hold a dialogue with the PhilJEC and ABS delegates to discuss the global economy and its importance to sustain growth in regions and countries. The meeting was held as the Philippines is set to host this year's 14th ABS this month. PhilJEC, formerly known as the Philippine National Committee for Economic Cooperation with Japan, was established on November 16, 1973 to promote, strengthen, and expand trade, economic, scientific, technological advancements, exchange assistance to business endeavors in both the Philippines and Japan.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Friday met with the fisherfolk during his inspection of the General Santos Fishport Complex, or GSFPC, in General Santos City and laid out his plans to upgrade fishing infrastructure and improve the cold chain system in the country. Speaking to General Santos City's fishers, the president said he visited the GSFPC to see and understand the systems used for fisheries. President Marcos cited the need to build more cold storage facilities and fish ports to ensure and maintain the quality and safety of fish and seafood.
Kaya't gagawin namin ang lahat para naman masuportahan yung buong, hindi lamang yung cold storage, kung hindi yung buong cold chain. Para yung mga huli na nahuli na natin ay pagdating sa market ay maganda pa rin at yung quality ng isda ay ma-maintain para siyempre mas magandang benta. Pagka pinag-aaralan namin yung mga pangangailangan sa kinakain ng Pilipino, napakahalaga sa diet ng Pilipino, sa kinakain ng Pilipino, yung isda, yung seafood. Dahil siyempre, marami tayo, mga 7,000 islands ang Pilipinas, kaya napupunta talaga sa fisheries ang pag-asa. Kaya tutulungan, gagawin namin lahat para yun na nga, yung mga sistema, magtatayo tayo ng mga fish port, mga agricultural port, para mabawasan ang ating transport cost, pati ice plant, para doon sa maliliit na bagsakan, mayroong pagkukuhanan ng yelo, para hindi lamang para doon sa lugar, para paglabas, paglalaot ang mga bangka, may dalang yelo, para laging sariwa yung inyong huli.
The chief executive acknowledged the fishing sector's crucial role in achieving food security and sustaining the Philippine economy's growth. President Marcos said the government, through the Department of Agriculture, would exhaust all efforts to develop the industry.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, Radyo Pilipinas World Service of the Presidential Broadcast Service is live on audio streaming. Just download Evox PBS Receiver on your Google Play Store or the App Store from your Apple phone. You can also visit our Facebook page and YouTube channel at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Just type in and search for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our post as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.